And
Mm.
you're not in love with TV.
Oh,
You've
hell
done
no.
the first
You know,
iteration.
you were
of your
one
TV
of
show.
our you were one of the
And
executive producers on that.
And you weren't really sold on TV. You're still not.
No, still don't like it. No, done.
But look what I think it's been incredible. This has been so much fun and an incredible journey. I think for a lot of people, for those who've been on the journey in the studio, listening and coming in and out of the studio, it was crazy. And I actually am so excited for the new place because the new place, I think it after the COVID kind of
Yeah.
The new place, all the space that's there, an amazing pool.
Energy. It's just like, and people want events. People want real life stuff. And that's also what we're going to build in, you know, not just for Cliff Central, but for our clients, a whole bunch of things that we're going to be doing there. So
I do think people want live events.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
it's one of the things I wanted to talk about this morning. So over the weekend, there was Gregory Porter. For those of you who don't know,
I
he's
saw
a jazz musician.
You posted something yesterday on your Instagram.
I did, but over the weekend he was at Kirstenbosch. Bona, I think there was a charter flight for all the Joburgers Leica of things because everybody on social media and Kirstenbosch is an amazing venue, you know, like the lights in the distance, the stage, and the picnic and all of that wonderful stuff. And it just lends itself to all of the, like the FOMO and the envy of I'm not there. And Gregory Porter is, for me, a very exciting sound. Right, because nobody writes, and I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, no, I like R&B, I'm that girl, right? But there's no new kind of R&B music or
it feels
artists.
like it almost stopped somewhere in the late 90s.
It did. Like that is like the golden age. And then Gregory and jazz too, right? It's kind of stagnated.
I've never understood jazz. So.
It's okay, you'll grow up.
One day.
And also, like, jazz also went through a bit of a, you know, post Miles Davis kind of, there's some jazz musicians, but it's also kind of, and Gregory Porter with his voice and musicality and storytelling, it was like, it's like nostalgic, but new and fresh. So it was so exciting. But what I saw is how excited people are to go out again, to be at a party, to be with other people, to be, the energy. So I can't wait for those parties.
Well, it's going to happen, and we're going to lead the way. And I think this is the exciting thing. So we're on the floor for those people who are joining in now, because, you know, some people start the show on time and sometimes we don't.
Today we did.
Yeah, for everybody who kind of didn't see the introduction, and we're sitting on the floor here, Phumi and I, literally on the floor. Check, Phums. There she is. There she is, sitting. So
it's like a picnic.
It's like a picnic.
So I'm getting a little bit of that, what it felt like to be in Kirstenbosch.
Yeah, we wanted to move all the stuff we didn't absolutely need out of the studio, and we're ready to go. I mean, there used to be wires coming out of the floor here. They've all been taken out. They've been moved to the new place. The desk that we sat at is going to be moving. Well, it's already there. It's in situ in the new place. So it's all happening. And I just want to congratulate Ryan and Homolemo and Simpiwe this morning for making it really work in this funny little room, which used to be our studio, which was the center of all of the stuff we did. And the new studio will be the center of all the stuff we do on that side. But look what they did. They also gave us a little ice bucket with some
mimosa,
champagne, and some orange juice. So I can pour one of those for you now, Phumi.
The kind of thing one needs when they're moving. A mimosa in the morning.
You can open this. There we go. Phums is going to open the champers. I'll open the orange, because we can drink in here now. There are no rules anymore. There's nothing to destroy.
We're not gonna drop it on the studio.
Exactly. And it's the last show from this place, which I think is quite historic, because the number of people who've been through this studio, you know, the good, the great, the powerful, the the crazy, the dangerous, all of that.
Hey, wena.
Yeah, let's
So
see what
let me
Pumi's up
think,
to
is
there.
this cold enough
We're going to
for
go for
it
it anyway.
not to...
There's-
Pella, it can't spill on me. I still have a whole day of work.
Okay,
Can't
well then,
be...
do you want me to open it?
Whoop, whoop.
Well done, Phumi.
Aha.
Nice job. All right, let me
Ching,
pour those for
ching.
you. All right, we're going to do this if it kills us. So we got the burning platform this morning as well, which...
Congo Chris says, pour them both in the bucket and drink it out of the bucket.
You
Congo.
savage animal.
No matter what you think, I'm still a lady.
So, I mean, you know, again, I don't want to do too much of the nostalgia stuff because it doesn't really suit me and I'm not nostalgic. And it's been a great place to do what we've been doing. And it's been the most incredible, like, multifaceted venue because people have come in and out here. And, you know, they've been all kinds. I mean, I'll never forget the first week that we did shows from here. There were 1,000 people lined up down the street for auditions. And people don't do that anymore. I don't know what people would audition for. You know, they just certainly don't do that for idols anymore. But they were all trying to get shows, right? And we had a drunk guy come in who wanted to do a show, and we found out he was a dental technician, but he was already drunk at like 6:30 in the morning.
Oy.
So we gave him a show, and it lasted about 5 minutes. Here's a very big glass with a... Yeah, there we go. Cheers, Pums. So
it's off the
exciting
camera.
times.
Nobody can see us like...
No, cheers.
But did you hear that? We actually did it. Clink, clink.
That is the way to start your morning. Holy shit. All right.
Oh, always.
Hey, Gareth, we are landscape architects based in Salt Rock. Happy to do a concept for your garden. Give it back to you. Thank you. That's really sweet of you. I must tell you, the gardens that we've got are magnificent already. Like little bonsai trees all over the place, a little amphitheater. There's a swimming
pool. It's
pool,
like a
like Phumi
secret
said.
garden.
It is.
It's when
beautiful.
You walk through a secret garden.
Signet says it is Puzza Thursday. Correct.
Ricky Lowe says, I remember there was like a whole week of shows throughout the day. I loved the Casper show. Yes.
And
Casper and his shirts.
Well, I mean, a lot of those people we've had back and forth here over the last while because, you know, they're still part of our lives. The CliffCentral family keeps expanding. And
a lot of those people are now very famous influencers too.
Absolutely. I mean, before we'd given them shows, no one had thought to give Somizi, Tumi Morake, who else? Brett Lindeque. All of those people, they didn't have shows before we put them on. And we decided these people are talented. They need shows. So we gave them their own runway and they flew. So it's all been lots of fun. So a couple of other comments in here we'll get to in a minute. Just pour them both into the bucket. Oh, that's what you told me about Congo, Chris. So yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I'm really, really enthusiastic about where we're going. We'll give you, obviously, once we're on that side, the tour. But I thought it would be fun to do the last show ever from here before the moving van comes.
I'm so glad to be at the last show ever.
Yeah, this is appropriate, right? It's appropriate. I mean, out of everybody here, with the exception of Rena, I've worked with Phumi the longest. I've known you the longest.
I'm a proper day one, y'all.
Yeah.
Day one. Yeah, in the studio.
Yeah, you and
day one.
You and Muzi Kuzwayo actually
are
like the oldest friends we've had in this building. So there are things we're going to leave behind, which I'm not even that sad about because it's time for something
What's
new.
getting left behind?
Well, the walls with all the signatures on. That you can't take with you.
So there is a wall. Most people have seen it on all sorts of social medias. People with everybody's signature. Everybody who's ever been through here, there's a signature on the wall. That is, are we at least taking pictures of the wall?
We've taken a video and we've taken a whole lot of pictures. So there's lots.
So this is also the really cool thing about moving and starting out. I personally hate moving.
No, everybody does.
Because
they say it's one of the most stressful and traumatic things people can go through.
Yeah, it is quite traumatic. But the exciting thing about moving is newness. It is newness. It's the energy of being in a new place, getting to learn new rituals, because it's also like it's driving here has become a particular ritual. So we drive here and we take a picture of the sunrise, at the different sunrises as the seasons come and go, and now driving to a new place turns on different neural pathways.
Exactly, and you have to do that, otherwise you get old and comfortable, and you become more and more of the boring old man in the corner. Never let the old man in. No, I think it's great that we've got a team here that can handle this kind of change and that are ready for the new stuff. Yeah. That counts. Hey, by the way, Ryan and Simpiwe and Homolemo, come in here and finish the rest of this mimosa.
Yeah, because
because
we've also got the burning platform coming, so we have to be a
concentrate.
little bit sober.
Absolutely. Moonchild says all the best for your new studios. New beginnings, always a good thing. And then Congo Chris being quite sentimental here. Congratulations on completing this chapter of your journey. Excited to walk into the next one with you guys. I want to thank you for your laughs and the memories onwards and upwards. So I posted, Rena posted a picture yesterday of her and I carrying the sign away, right? And a whole bunch of people obviously thought, oh, what does this mean? They're shutting down. They're shutting down shop, which obviously we're not shutting down shop.
Are we going to see a headline in one of the newspapers?
Watch, because you know how stupid the press are, right? They'll get it wrong. But that's part of that sign's coming with us as well. So Ricky also wants to know, is tomorrow's show from your new premises or from home? So exciting story. Monday, we will be doing a live show. We've got one of our clients is doing a big reveal, and we will be doing a breakfast there and a whole lot of stuff. So Monday's show will be live from there, but not from the new studio, which is going to take a few more days to wire and get everything going in. Yeah, come and grab some of this and tell those other two to get in here as well. The Friday show tomorrow, we're going to have to do like remote because there's still so much going on. So it's kind of half of it will be on that side from a streaming point of view, but the other half will be at my house, and then the other half will be at wherever Simpiwe is at. And
so all three halves will be live from somewhere.
All three halves. That's like when Jennifer Lopez said, "I am 100% Puerto Rican and 100% the Bronx." You're like, oh, so you're 200%. Okay, great. You're more than the average person.
Oh, Jenny from the block.
Yeah, correct. All right, do you want to look at some news?
Yes.
Let's do it. All right, first story in the news this morning. South Africa doesn't have an Eskom problem. We have an ANC problem, says the DA. So here's a little clip of the DA march, which was through Johannesburg, and there was one in Cape Town. I think there was one in Durban as well. Listen, as far as marches goes, this is the best the DA has ever done.
Hey, there was a sea of blue on Bree Street yesterday.
Right. So, I mean, congratulations to them. They're not the marching kind of people, if you ask me, but they did this.
Current situation at Bree Street JHB. Luthuli House.
Cosatu used to have out there where it would just be a sea of red.
Do you remember those
down?
When Cosatu was still a thing? They used to do proper marches.
Yeah.
Those don't happen anymore.
Those don't happen anymore, no.
Well, the DA managed to get a march going because people are so full of Eskom. But then the ANC Youth League, whatever they're worth these days.
I also saw them getting ready. They were all 10 of them.
They had a counter march, all 10 of them. How if you told me back in 2010, 2011, that one day there'll be a blue DA march through the center of Johannesburg with thousands of people, and there'd be 10 ANC Youth League people marching in the opposite direction, I'd say to you, you're smoking something, right? Shows you how this country, you can never predict what happens.
I know Phumlani also wants to talk about it, so I'll reserve my comment.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that later on.
Half.
But the ANC Youth League said, why are you marching in Luthuli House when the problem is at Eskom? And they're going to organize a march to Eskom. But
there is a march being organized to Eskom. I see on Twitter, there's a very active Twitterista who seems, and I've now seen him on mainstream media on a couple of.
Here's the team.
Yay!
These people.
Come sit next
over here,
to
guys.
me.
Yeah.
Cling,
Come,
cling.
pull in.
Simpiwe.
There's Simpiwe. There's Ryan. There's Homolemo.
Drinking
Yeah, we're all-
mimosas out of
Cheers,
coffee
you
cups.
lot.
Yes,
Well done.
yeah,
Good
like
job.
that's how you do it.
This is what we got. We look like Scott Hines this morning drinking on the streets. No champagne cups. All right, very nice. All right,
Champagne
so
doesn't go in cups, Ryan.
yeah, no, it does this morning. This morning, we listen. All rules are suspended for today. Yeah, the rules are done. So look, I think that it's good that people march. I'm never going to be a marcher. I didn't join any of the
Oh,
Zuma
I
must go.
went.
Zuma must go.
We had them
Zuma
here.
must
They came to
go.
the studio too.
Remember
They
those-
came to the
The Zuma grannies, they were here. Yeah?
Zuma grannies came here. I've been to a march. One,
Mm. What was
one,
it for?
maybe two.
What was it for?
So a couple of years ago, there was a big feminist march
Oh,
against like a anti-GBV to send a memorandum to the president about kind of something's got to give, something's got to give march. And marches are like that, right? Marches are, I've seen a lot of people going, why are they marching? What does it do? Marches also are action, right? As they give lots of various individuals an opportunity to do something,
mhm.
and you write your list of demands
Mhm.
and it's momentum. It creates a momentum, but there has to be a concerted post effort, and it's the organizers. Kudos always to organizers. Like I was saying, there's a Ed Kustas is his Twitter handle, and he's been kind of mobilizing to kind of get people on the 2nd of February, a march to Eskom with, and they've got, I saw their little memorandum with the list of demands, and there's short term and midterm.
Okay.
They're like, and it's good. It's good because it's active, right? It's also about an active citizenry. It's about showing the number of people who are angry about the particular issue, who are passionate about the issue, and who are willing it. And that show of force is supposed to scare the politicians.
Yeah.
Right? Because it says to them, it demonstrates to them the number of individuals that are against them. And
Correct.
that's what's because they want people to
mean,
be with them. In
and
order
also-
to be a politician in power, people must vote for you. And if people are angry at you and mobilizing and out in the streets, it's supposed to scare you because you're supposed to see that this number of people is against me. How likely am I to win?
Absolutely. Carl says, I don't mean to sound like a typical Watt person, but there were no reports of violence, looting, theft, destruction. If you still think there's no alternative, you need to remove your head from your ass. Okay, well, you know what? I mean, again, I'm just going to say, when did the DA become cool enough to be able to get people to march in their colors? Which is quite something. And all of those people are not given like sandwiches and free bus trips, like so many people at so many rallies in this country, where you do it because you're just unemployed and you have nothing to do. You think they were?
Of course they were.
Okay,
Of course they were.
See,
You
I wouldn't
can't-
know how to organize this.
You can. A friend of mine put it very succinctly by saying you can't fill stadiums or marches with conviction alone.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm learning things. You see,
there
again,
needs to
I'm
be.
not a marcher. I wouldn't know how to organize this. kind of thing.
Organizing this thing, you've got to get people on buses to a certain particular place to get everybody there on time. There's a lot of
Okay.
organization that goes into it, but for me, it's fantastic to see them mobilize people in this way. And I hope that part is fantastic. See them mobilize people in this way,
Great.
get people to come out. It's an opportunity for them to spread their message, to change people's minds. I mean, I did see reports late because Rob Hersoff was there in a DA t-shirt.
Oh yeah.
He got a podium. He got to
Okay.
go on the podium. And I saw a News 24 report, I don't know how verified it is, but it is News 24, that some of the DA leaders are unhappy with the fact that the crowd was chanting Viva Rob Hersoff or something of that. And well, I did see Rob Hersoff trending and not DA March.
Oh, wow.
Trending. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, and these
Well,
are
it's
all
a
the
country.
things.
It's a country of personalities, and the DA's got to ask themselves if, someone who's got lots and lots of money has made a lot of noise in the media, like Rob has. If he's getting more attention than your political leaders, maybe your political leaders need to learn to lead a little bit more publicly. Yeah, maybe he's got more character and conviction, or maybe the DA's out of ideas. But
But you
either
know
way,
what that
maybe people
reminded
just
me
like
of?
people just like Rob Hersov as well. I hear from people all the time, and I know Rob. He's a terrific guy. I think in his way, he is doing the very best he can to move South Africa forward. And I think everybody who wants to move South Africa forward should be given a place to do so, and we should support them. We all want the same thing at the end. We want the country to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, it's very good.
But it did remind me of that report.
Mm.
Do you remember when there was a DA march organized at the Randburg Court, Magistrates Court, when Duduzane Zuma was going to be appearing in court? And all those girls, when he came, all the girls in the DA T-shirts went to get selfies with him. They all saw him come out, and they were like,
have you forgotten why you're here?
Selfies. which again, that's you can't fill marches with conviction. You have to. There's another way that you've got to incentivize people to show up.
All right. Well, here's another story that you might be interested in. The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development is looking to amend the Constitution. Why? They want to make sign language the 12th official language of the country.
It's not?
No, and I got to say, this is all symbolic, guys. Can we just, let's grow up about this. Honestly, I mean, I'm all for sign language being given its dues and people paying attention to the deaf community and all of that stuff. But my God, do we need to? Do we really need to now include sign language in every state document? Because that's what it means.
Include sign language in every state document. How do you include sign language in a document?
That's my problem. And I'll find a way. Trust me.
Braille.
Well, I mean, the written word can be read, so I suppose that kind of obviates that problem. But they're going to try in every, we've all become used to the person on the TV who does. But
do you know that we were actually the first country in the world to normalize that? Ahead of the 1994 elections. That's when we started having, and I met a lady who was one of the people who were the campaigner for getting that because look, one of the things that our very first election did was get everybody on board. Because remember, we had to teach a lot of people how to vote.
Right. What it actually was.
What to expect. And getting all of those people included meant looking at all of the... And this is the thing about South Africa that I don't think we appreciate enough. That we know how to include everybody when and if we want.
Well, okay, so what?
So now, even just, you say the little person on the side of the screen, that's just how we are now. There are many people who come to this country, and when they see that, it's the first time ever that they see such a thing. You see them with parliamentary proceedings. You see them on the news. We have fake ones.
Remember the fake one at Mandela's funeral? Yes, that guy who was just making shit up to be on TV. All right, look at this. Here's the story, right, as it is. So Ronald Lamola, who's the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, he said the 18th Amendment Bill is going to be published or has been published already for public input. He said the Amendment Bill aims to advance the cultural acceptance of sign language and deaf culture. It's now a culture. The Constitution's 18th Amendment Bill seeks to give people who are deaf or hard of hearing human dignity and equal protection and benefit of the law, blah, 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 blah. It was hoped that by including it as an official language, it would promote inclusivity and equality and prevent discrimination on the grounds of disability. All great. Very nice. I'm not really moved by this like you are, Pums, so let's just move on. Because, I think a lot of it is just pandering.
That's because you can hear.
No, but I think a lot of it's of course I can hear, and I don't really care about the deaf community as much because we're an audio medium, for God's sake. I've never, during my whole radio career, I wasn't particularly interested in the deaf people. I'll be honest with you. So yeah, that's part of it.
And
Amazon.
I'm judging you for it.
Yeah, I'm judge away. Amazon strikes have been happening all over. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amazon workers are staging the first ever UK strike on Wednesday against an online giant, the online giant, in a protest over pay. Around 300 staff walked out of their Coventry warehouse because they're not getting the rise in pay that they wanted. They told the BBC about severe conditions, claiming they're constantly monitored and upbraided for idle time lasting just a few minutes. They said they have a system that recognizes great performance. A spokesman said it also encourages coaching to help employees improve if they're not meeting their performance goals. So Amazon taking watching your employees to a whole new level.
Dude, there's a documentary on YouTube about this. The world is crazy, guys. I know as South Africans, we kind of are a little bit tempered to how crazy can be, right? But that Amazon documentary, people who like sleep in their vans in the parking lot because of the changes in their shifts, but also because they don't earn enough to actually have a proper place to stay because housing is so expensive in the States. Listen, the whole thing is a shit show, but it's scary. And
working in tech was what everyone wanted to do about 10 years ago. It was all anyone spoke about. And I went to Silicon Valley and you saw these offices. I mean, I went to the new Facebook
big
campus.
shiny offices.
They had just moved.
20 cereals.
Talking about moving. So Facebook had just moved to their new campus.
To the campus.
Which was phenomenal. And I looked at the old school telephone booths and couches everywhere and people having drinks and people sitting at the restaurants. They had about
10 cereals.
Oh, are you kidding? They had 10 different cafeterias that people could go to. They were all like branded, and you can go to Mexican today, you can go Colombian tomorrow, you could go Chinese on Thursday, whatever you wanted to do. And there were hardly any people doing any work, but that was just an observation. And I thought, well, this is the leading edge of how employment's going to go. And I think anyone who was in tech 10 years ago would have considered themselves lucky because they would have been earning big money. They would have had the easiest working conditions of all. Now, it is as you put it, shit show. It's not so easy. People are being laid off in their thousands.
12,000 people at where?
Facebook.
Facebook. I like
all of them. Twitter, the lot. All being just chased out of there. No space for all of you guys. Sorry. So I don't know whether this is the best.
Speaking of working in tech, there's an Economist article that I saw a couple of days ago. You all know how obsessed I am with ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this article talks about all the training, the pre-training that they did before, because now they're in beta testing, as everybody knows. So, but you've got to train the AI even before you open it up to the general public.
Mm-hmm.
And they had, again, speaking of working conditions, this article is about all of the young IT kind of and graduates in Kenya, of all places.
Oh yeah,
that were at some point earning like $2 an hour for 12-hour shifts in order to train this thing and kind of sensitize it to become what we are now exposed to. It was very hectic.
Do you think that in South Africa, people work long hours, people who, security guards and people like that. Do you think that we would complain if we were in Britain working for Amazon? Because people also like to say, Jeff Bezos is this evil warlord who runs this, Machiavellian, malevolent empire, and that everything there is just so horrible for the workers.
Yeah, I don't know. You hear people from all over the world talk about why South Africans are so desired to come and work there, right? And the first thing that they talk about is work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of us here in South Africa know, like, go to a bank, it doesn't matter if it's private or public, but we all complain about how shocking service can be and how everybody's just... And to hear people from around the world say the work ethic of South Africans.
Yeah, you're like, what? Are you even dealing with the same people we are?
So I don't know if we would complain. I don't think so. People that are shelf packers at Checkers, for instance, right? You don't even see those people when you're walking past because
No.
even though they're there, you don't even kind of recognize that they're there. You just like look past them. I think those people probably their working conditions are the same,
Same
if
as
not
Amazon.
worse than Amazon.
And except they don't have any world famous billionaire to complain about. So yeah, I don't know how seriously to take this. And then finally, I thought you might like this story. A guy called Justin Roiland, who's one of the creators of Rick and Morty, has been dropped from US TV channel Adult Swim. He's preparing to defend himself over charges of domestic violence against his ex-girlfriend. So of course, Rick and Morty is one of the most popular shows on TV. People love it. It's hilarious. It's crazy. It's a little bit out of left field, and for some people, way too much of that.
It's a little bit insane.
He voices the title characters, though. So
really?
Without having him, you're not going to have Rick, and you're not going to have Morty.
Oh,
wow. So I don't know how they're going to carry on with the show. They said the show would go on without him for its 7th season, with his roles reportedly to be recast. He denies the charges. A trial date has not been set. So apparently, a statement released on Tuesday said Adult Swim has ended its association with Justin Roiland. Rick and Morty will continue. The talented and dedicated crew are hard at work on season 7. But without him, will it work?
Rick and Morty is a little bit like a adult Pinky and the Brain.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. When I first saw it, I was just like, is this like a reincarnation of Pinky and the Brain? But I wonder how they're going to recreate the voice. Because the thing about animated characters is more than just what they do. It's how they sound as well as what they say. So if he's the voice of the main one,
yeah, I mean,
and everybody's voice is different.
And Rick has this very weird way of talking where he burps every now and then as well. So I don't know how they're going to find someone who can do that. Anyway, he's 42 years old. So prosecutors in California have charged him with 2 charges of domestic battery, with corporal injury and false imprisonment by menace, violence, fraud, and or deceit of an unidentified woman who was living with him at the time.
Unidentified.
Police complaints said that the incident, which occurred on the 19th of January, resulted in a traumatic condition for the woman. His lawyer said in a statement he was innocent, saying, "We look forward to clearing his name, helping him move forward as swiftly as possible." So again, we have to ask the question, these days you are judged on everything all at once and sometimes nothing all at once. It depends on who you know, what your position is, what your politics are, and how much the internet likes you or dislikes you. And I mean, someone like the creative Rick and Morty, you'd think would be popular enough to be able to carry on doing what they were doing. I mean, Michael Jackson was accused of God knows what during his career. I still bought and listened to his music all the time. If this guy is a real shithead and he treats his girlfriend really badly, but I love Rick and Morty, why must we be prevented from having him exercise his talents? Because everyone is virtue signaling how good they are the whole time.
So the good thing about the world we live in now is anybody can have a platform. You don't need a big studio.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing.
Sometimes.
I think it's a good thing because it allows the people, it allows true freedom of association. Right? So he can have his own new thing wherever. Look at it, it's kind of like CliffCentral, right? So when you came to a place where traditional radio and the station you were on at the time no longer fit in with what you were seeking, this is what you built. Yeah. And you could.
Okay. Again, I'm going to go to the point of he may behave like a real shit in his real life, and he may be horrible to his girlfriend. It's not my problem. I'm not interested. I'm sorry if he's a shit person.
But that's why I'm saying he can create a whole new thing without these people. Because he's tethered to Adult Swim.
Well, I'm sure they own the concept now. They probably own the show.
Well, that's in 2020. Listen, in 2023, people are still creating content and just giving it over to people. Giving? No.
Selling for lots of money.
Well, then he sold it.
Again,
Move on.
I'm not feeling sorry for him, but I'm also not really moved by his personal behavior. You don't know what people are doing in their personal lives, and it shouldn't have anything to do with what they do in their professional lives. There should be at least some adult behavior around this. Like, the adult thing to do is to say, all right, well, if you get thrown in jail as a criminal, and that hasn't happened yet, by the way, there are not even charges being laid yet. He has not been charged yet, right? We don't know the details of these charges, but it seems that the prosecutors are playing around with the idea at the moment. And in the meantime, Adult Swim are trying to look good by going, we're separating ourselves from
I think one of the things that also happens a lot around things like this is people have been wanting to get rid of you and haven't had a reason.
And they wait.
And this kind of is an easy reason to just go, listen, dude, you've got problems. We don't want to be associated with those problems. Thank you and goodbye.
Well, he looks a bit like Ryan, who works for us. Look at that guy. All right, just back to the language thing. I got an interesting message here from somebody saying, are there more deaf people than there are Greek people or German South Africans? I wonder what the statistic is, because if there are less deaf people than Germans or whatever in South Africa, then we should rather make German an official language than sign language. I mean, just on the numbers.
Interesting.
Why not? It's a good idea, right? I mean, if we're going to, let's just go all the way. Let's say just we're a country where every language is official. Because we're trying to sound like we're nice to everybody. Anyway, it irritates me when people make special things like this happen for the deaf community, because all they're really doing, they're not doing it for the deaf community. They're doing it so that they can look good. Same as Adult Swim doing it to fire this guy so they can look good. It's got nothing to do with it.
I recently did some work with a German foundation, and they supported one of the projects that we've been working on. And it was fascinating for me as we were doing all of this work. All the documentation they send is in English and German. So their style guide for when you do like your posts and all of that was English and German.
Nice.
Their guidelines around reporting and governance, lots of reporting and governance, English and German. So I think, and I thought to myself, this is because, well, it's a foundation, so it is private, but it is a German foundation. And so this is, for them, their official languages. Because they're in South Africa, the official language they have that is one of our languages is English.
Which German is which foundation is it?
We went to
Friedrich
Germany
Naumann.
with Friedrich Naumann.
Very
All of
good.
their documents.
The Stiftung.
Stiftung.
Okay, so is it true? Because somebody told me this a couple of years ago, and I actually never looked it up to see if it is true or not. So go ahead, audience, fact check us on this if you can. But that we have, I think, the largest German concentration in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, really?
In South Africa. Well, it's the largest population of Germans outside of Germany in the Southern Hemisphere here in South Africa. That's what I heard.
More than Namibia?
That's what I heard. And I was thinking with South America, there's quite a lot of Germans in Argentina and Chile. But maybe if you know better than me, then correct me.
Wow.
But that's what I heard. Because we do have German schools in Pretoria and Joburg and in Cape Town. And they're 5?
Hermannsburg.
Hermannsburg? Where the hell is Hermannsburg?
We actually,
where is
Muzi Kuzwayo, whom I work with,
where is Hermannsburg?
has a very interesting concept of doing a photo diary called Little Germany, because there's so many towns here in South Africa that are the same as German, like German names.
Hold on a second. You've just taught me something. Hermannsburg is a hamlet in South Africa. It's located in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, home to the Hermannsburg School. Wow, Phumi, you've taught me something here. I didn't even know this place existed. It's right in the middle of KZN. Like right in the middle. If you had to draw a map of KZN, it would be spot on in the middle. And it's based on Hermannsburg in Germany. They've got a school. They've got a Lutheran congregation there. Wow, look at this. This is quite something. It was started in what, the 1800s? I didn't even know this place existed. You learn something new every day. Hermannsburg. You're teaching me things. Surely Argentina has a larger German population, says Congo Chris. You shouldn't use the word German and concentration in the same sentence, Gareth. Brisbane has a crazy number of Germans, but they call Somerset West Somerset West because we have so many Germans here. On small business shopfront windows, they have "Wir sprechen Deutsch." Yeah, okay. There we go.
Jawohl.
All right.
Here's another interesting thing. I met at the end of last year. I met the German ambassador to South Africa, and he speaks Zulu.
Oh wow!
Which he learned at university in Germany. He speaks very good
useful.
Zulu.
That's useful. Hey, I'll tell you what. If you want to be a politician, learn
Wuppertal in Cedarburg. See?
Wuppertal, another place I've never heard
Jay.
of.
That's hanging out with
Wuppertal. You're joking. No, man. Come on. Wuppertal and Hermannsburg. Look at me getting a geography lesson.
Listen,
I thought I knew my own country.
We have got towns in this country like Stutterheim.
Again, where the hell's that? Stutterheim. Where's that? In the Eastern Cape?
In the Eastern Cape.
Okay, yeah. Sounds like it should be. Stutterheim. My God, you see, we do have lots of Germans around here. Okay, so this is fascinating, but let's just quickly go back to the news for a second. So I'm sitting. What?
Even the clock is down, guys.
Yeah,
there's no clock here, so I don't even know. I've lost all track of time.
It's 7:15. If you're wondering about that. All right. So when you were at this Gregory Porter concert,
yes,
the clapping, did it? Because
wait,
you want to make.
Okay, I have to paint a picture for you. So because you don't listen to jazz, I take it you've never been to a jazz concert.
No, hell no, I'd die.
Here in Joburg, you would not die.
I'd be so
here
bored.
In Joburg, they're two, and jazz is quite a big genre here, right? There's lots of jazz enthusiasts. Huge. That's why we have a Joy of Jazz festival. But there's also two types of jazz listeners, right? They're like the older people who are like serious about their jazz.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of young-ish people who are groovers, like because jazz is also a bit of a groove.
Sure.
And then there are white people who listen to jazz, and they are older and they are serious about their jazz. And the way so listening to jazz is also a different kind of experience. It's not like there's no golden circle where people are standing around in front of the stage, because it's not that kind of experience, right? And lots of chairs, everybody's sitting down, kind of. But you can dance, you can stand up and dance in the moment. And Gregory, because of the kind of music that he is, had a part of his set where he asked everybody to clap in a rhythm, clap in a rhythm. So, and there was, in my line of sight, an older white gentleman with long hair, but like a serious jazz listener. And this clapping, this guy you could see his face. He actually like turned to watch the audience because he couldn't get how is everybody in this audience clapping to this rhythm within seconds of being taught the rhythm? Because it's a little bit like dancing, right? It's difficult to for a lot of people who don't have that kind of rhythm to clap to it. It's like watching a weird white person dance.
Okay.
Watching this guy kind of having the visceral experience of everybody in this audience, and also Black people sing along in concerts, like the whole everybody, because actually we have paid you to come and be on the stage and accompany us singing your songs.
You're putting me off jazz more and more. Keep talking. The likelihood of me going to a jazz concert has just dropped to 10%.
This poor guy's kind of cognitive dissonance of this rhythmic everybody all at the same time.
I get both. I get the people who go to a show just to hear those people that they've listened to recordings of live, and they don't want any disturbance. They actually don't give a shit if everyone else in the audience dies while the concert's going on because they want to hear the musician themselves. I get that. I'm sometimes like that with certain musicians. And I think at classical concerts, that's how you want it to be. It's not about you enjoying yourself. It's really not. Why must people always make it about them? Right? Always. It's always me.
It's the human experience.
I get it. And I mean, I'm also sometimes those people. So on the one hand, I get the like serious aficionados. And on the other hand, I get like people go there, they drink, they're there to party with their friends, they hear the live music, they see the other people around them. It's all about the crowd. And actually, it didn't matter in those situations who was on stage either. So you vacillate between these two things. And I think that if you go to a concert, you've got to be open to whatever happens.
You've got to be in it. You've got, because look, I think music is the last real magic that we actually have access to. Or like, because it transports you to a place. It can move you. I just saw a video about skin orgasms. You know, when you hear
Is that what they call it?
yeah.
A skin orgasm.
Yeah, you know when the hairs on the back of you, like the hairs on your body stand, this like visceral reaction to someone singing or a piece of music, or people feel like that also about opera. That's what it is, right? And the magic of, and I've been to a lot of jazz concerts, and one of the things that I find a lot of, particularly the Black American artists, don't expect when they come here is how big the hearts of the audiences are here and how engaged the audience is in all of their music. I mean, just the wall of sound of when the chord starts the song and everybody kind of responds, and when he starts singing and everybody singing along and the rhythm is all in check, and it's just, I think for them it's also a little bit of a magical experience.
Well, here Super Jacob Zuma says we call them jazz holes, the type of musicians that stop a whole show to ask someone to talk softer at a dinner party because they're performing Face Blue Smiling. I recently found out, says Slippery Pickle, that if you play blues backwards, your wife remarries you, the bank gives you your house back, and your dog comes back to life.
Or at least that's how you feel, because it soothes you.
Oh, man. Silentificent says, and that's almost the same reason why I can't watch any major blockbusters. People clapping and cheering to the actors, it pisses me off.
Hey, when people are engaged.
Yeah,
all reality has been suspended.
But they also, it's all about them. Oh, by the way, Ryan says, we've got to remind you to send through voice notes for the show. So you can do that. You can send us voice notes. You know what to do. Just send them along to our WhatsApp number, which is 071 783 6214. We want to hear from you on the voice notes. But you do get what I mean. Like sometimes it's all just about them being hugely self-indulgent. And as you said just now, you actually put it into words. It's like we're paying you to come and entertain us or to accompany us while we have our entertainment. Which, I mean, for some people in the audience, I did not come for the out of tune assholes standing next to me. You know what I mean? I get it. I get both sides. I really do. On this issue.
Stay home and play your records.
And most of those kind of people do. They don't like to go to concerts. But if they go to see someone live and there's some out of tune asshole standing next to them, it does mar their enjoyment of the whole thing.
Or get a box.
Yeah, or pay for the really expensive tickets up front and then let the poor people at the back scream and shout and make the noise, right? And that's what
peanut gallery.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, there's also lots to talk about with the Burning Platform, which is coming up in a short while from now. We've got Phumlani Majozi is going to join us for our last Burning Platform from the old studio where Phumi and I are sitting in a picnic having our last show.
Oh, no, this is a very funny comment from Adri Padri. He says, 30 Seconds to Mars. Been to 2 of their concerts. Biggest karaoke show.
Yeah. Again, it's not my favorite thing. I get it, but no, thank you. If I wanted to hear a whole bunch of people singing badly to something, I would I would just go to the nearest drunken bar at like 2
This is
a.m.
the thing.
Yeah.
They're not singing it badly.
What, at drunken bars?
No, I don't go to drunken bars at the concert.
No, they are singing it badly. Trust me, I've heard it. Doesn't matter what style of music. And you jazz people, I've never. You're one of the jazz people. You jazz people, I've never understood. I never will. Thabo Modisane tried his best to explain to me why Miles Davis is so great. He bought me all the albums that my heart could desire for like 4 or 5 years. I have about 6 of Miles Davis's albums. I've listened to a few of them. I like some of it. I won't lie, I don't like most of it. And I find any live jazz that I've ever seen, especially, and forgive me, but most of the jazz that I've seen in person hasn't been concerts with greats like Gregory Porter. It's been the people who play in a hotel lobby.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
And that is self-indulgent bullshit.
Oh
you
dear.
Cannot.
I actually was gonna call Thabo. I forgot to call him. I thought I was gonna call him yesterday because in Gregory's band, saxophone. So he's got saxophone, upright bass, grand piano, an organ. That's it. And
Really?
him. That's it.
Wow.
Which is like, Nat King Cole kind of jazz ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
And the saxophonist was amazing, which reminded me of Thabo Modisane.
Yeah.
Actually.
He could play the sax.
Yeah.
He never did play it for us, but he can play the sax. I only like 1950s jazz music, says Slippery Pickle. It's the type of thing I'd put on if the bombs start dropping.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. If you take any song, says Parallel Parking, remove the verses and choruses and just keep playing the bridge, then you have jazz. That's about right. Yes, good analysis. Congo Chris says most musicians are cuck live and more out of tune than their audience. Best person to go and watch live is Robbie Williams. He's the last of the proper showman. I've seen better than Robbie Williams. I wouldn't agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
Jazz people are like those people who go to galleries and stare at some burnt stick and say, "Oh my gosh, I just had a skin orgasm."
Hanging out with Jay.
It is pretentious for me. It is.
No.
Yes, it is.
There
Jazz
is no
super
way.
pretentious.
There is no type of music that is pretentious. There is no type of music that is pretentious.
Really?
Really?
You don't think that the 14-minute drum solo in a Gada Davida is not pretentious? What is it then?
If you love drums, then it's an exciting experience for you to watch that level of coordination. To watch that level of coordination in one person. It's art.
All right. Well, I've got to 45 years old without ever learning the value of jazz. I don't think I'm going to make it to, have that realization anytime in this life. But I wish those people who love jazz well. I mean, good for you. Keep these jazz musicians out of my hair and keep them on stage in jazz concerts. I'm happy with that.
Rebellious Ruth says she's going to watch Sting. Wow.
Ooh, when is Sting coming here? Ruth, let us know. I don't know about that.
I said that those tickets were also sold out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would like to see Sting.
Yeah.
Sting would be fun.
I think it's the second time he's coming out here.
Been here before?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure about that, but there we go. Training Vam says, I agree with Gareth on jazz. Derek Barker says, I get a skin orgasm when I smash my leg into the countertop. Smash your leg into the countertop. I moan and just can't control myself. God. I don't know why this camera keeps switching off. It's very annoying.
Yeah,
Phumi, I agree with you. I grew up listening to jazz. Okay, so Ruth has the same sophistication you do, Pums. Sting the wrestler or Sting the singer? I don't think anyone's going to see Sting the wrestler, but you see, that's another thing. Like on the opposite end of the spectrum, they'll never call people who watch wrestling sophisticated, right? But I also don't get wrestling for the same reasons I don't get jazz. I just don't get it. You call me unsophisticated, but I also don't get wrestling. There is no amount of money you could pay me to go to wrestling or boxing. And there is no amount of money you could pay me to go to jazz.
Not if boxing.
Oh, not at all interested. Dreary. Not interested.
If we could wake a Muhammad Ali at his peak and a Mike Tyson at his peak for one all-out blow for blow, you wouldn't go to that?
No. I mean, like I understand why it would be amazing, but there are people, if you gave me those tickets, I would give them to someone who truly would like skin orgasm over them. Because I wouldn't. It would be a wasted thing. You know, someone offered me tickets recently to some big sporting event. And I said, no, rather give those to someone else. You know, one of our clients, I think it was, said to me, why don't you come? I've got these tickets to Sevens thing in Cape Town or something. And I mean, it could have been fun, but I think I'd rather let someone who really appreciates that stuff have them. And I'd give you the tickets to the Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson.
That
wasted on me. Stingers in Cape Town 1-23 of what, February? Okay, yeah. And 4th or 5th of Feb in Gauteng. Okay, so he's doing 3 in Cape Town. 1, 2, and then the 23rd. So, okay, so he goes to Cape Town, he does 2 concerts, then he comes up to Joburg, does 2 concerts. Then he takes a little holiday, and then he goes and does his last one in Cape Town.
Probably goes to Sabi.
Yeah, what's the bet that last one in Cape Town's the one to book? That's the one to go to, right?
The tickets are sold out. They were so even like this is the other thing about my Gregory Porter experience is the tickets were advertised, and I saw it a day after they started advertising.
Those sold like hotcakes.
A day after, and they were sold out. When I went to go check online, the tickets were sold out. I was gutted. I never, ever call people to ask for tickets. I never. It's a thing.
What favors did you pull?
I phoned a friend who was one of the organizers, the key organizers, to say, listen, dude, I need a ticket.
Yeah.
I need a ticket. Even if you give me the roster of the radio stations that are going to be running competitions for this ticket.
You need it.
I need a ticket. And he said to me, listen, we've got, so their client or
where was
sponsor,
this, the Joburg one?
At the Teatro.
Okay.
And he said, we're negotiating to add 2 extra dates. So everybody that went to the Monday show and the Tuesday show, we're the people that are going to get into heaven after the gates close, because we were that lucky. Even the guy sitting behind me at the concert was telling me he'd never heard of Gregory Porter and was like gone to fetch his bicycle at the guy who fixes the bicycle, and he was playing this music and he was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Who's this guy? And he downloaded all the music, and then he saw that he was coming. And when he tried to get the tickets were sold out. And then he saw that there's going to be more tickets. Says he was up at midnight refreshing.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. All right, I'm going to throw this camera through the window as my last act in the studio. But before we do that, because it keeps switching itself off.
When we have the break, you must just check if it doesn't go to sleep.
No, I've switched all that off. Anyway, we'll figure it out. We've got Phumlani Majozi joining us for the last burning platform from our studios. Phumi and I are picnicking on the floor with mimosas, and we're having a very, very nice, happy last show, talking a whole lot of nonsense. We want to hear from you. You can send us a message on the YouTubes. You can also send us a voice note, which you can do by WhatsApping it to 071-783-6214. We want to hear from you.
What is this? Kevin Hart is coming here and the tickets are 17,000 Rand. Am I reading that right? Am I reading that right?
17,000 Rand? I think maybe the VIP where you get to meet him and
RK.
Like put your hand on his head or something.
Yay.
Okay. Well, if that's true, good for him. If Kevin Hart can sell a 17,000 Rand ticket to somebody, good for him. Yay. All right. All of that and more on the way in the burning platform, which is coming up next. Don't go anywhere. CliffCentral.com.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
But one of the things that you kind of spotlighted last year was
buyers are going to be spending less time in physical dealerships and moving more online. Do you think that's something that actually happened? Do you see that happening more?
I don't think dealerships are going to go away.
Yeah.
Especially with used cars. Maybe new will move in that direction faster or more than used. But the thing about a used car is it's not a commodity. Every single used car in the market is a unique item on its own. One VW GTI is not the same as another used VW GTI. It's got different mileage, slightly different specs, different color maybe, different interior. It's
not like going to take a lot, right? And
exactly
ordering the same thing.
So in that world, I don't think dealerships will go anywhere, especially in the used car environment. Maybe to a certain degree the new. I mean, we've already seen that the number of dealership visits per consumer came down to about 1.6 at one stage.
Yeah.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Hi, I'm Barrett Edelstein. Join me for my podcast, Celeb Savant. Today I'm with Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
So right at the moment, I'm at home in London, but after I speak to you, I'm going to pack my bags.
3 of the members of UB40, Earl, Matt, and Jimmy.
Well, we're in the middle of a tour at the moment.
Career retrospective with actors, singers, and entertainment industry experts every Friday morning at 9 o'clock on CliffCentral.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All right. Let's go. We have got the burning platform, which is next. I couldn't sit on the floor anymore. Managed to
okay, I'm
managed
just
to
going to
locate a
readjust
chair.
myself. I think.
Would you like a
Thank
chair
you
as
for
well?
all those yoga classes.
Yeah,
Thank you to all the yoga. I'm actually quite all right sitting here on the floor, grounded.
Now, I'll be revealing all in the next couple of weeks, but we're also going to be doing something different on the burning platform going forward. But I'll tell you more about that as we get closer to our start date on something new, because I think also that the burning platform, while it's a terrific talk shop and we've had some very, very smart people on here, also we need to start getting things done. And Phumi was right earlier when she said that people who go to marches and things, they feel like they're doing something. And too often on this show, there are all these great ideas that fly around, or just people analyzing other people in politics. And I think there's a new direction we could take this in as well. So for the fans of the burning platform, we're going to be reinventing that too, while we reinvent our studio space, while we move offices. All of this stuff is happening at once. And I'm pleased to bring to the show, for the last one that we're doing in our old studios, Phumlani Majozi. Hello, Phumlani. How are you? Oh, hang on. Let me just make sure he's on here. I think you're on mute.
You're on mute, Phumlani.
Ha.
3 years later.
Oh,
3 years
yes,
later,
3
we are
years
still
later.
telling you, unmute yourself.
Can you believe that? 3 years later. But thanks, Gareth. I'm well. It's great to be back.
Good.
And it's great to see you, both of you. Welcome to
He's a bit soft,
2023.
hey?
And I hear that you guys are moving into a new home, right?
We are indeed.
That's great stuff. That's progress.
It is. You got to keep moving, right? And by moving, we took it very literally and decided to pack boxes. You must see the passage here. It's full of cardboard boxes that are full of stuff. All right, so Phumlani, I mean, the country is moving at a snail's pace, but we're still moving. We're moving in a direction where I think most people are just getting hot full, and we haven't spoken to you for some time. So I know it's a new year, and I know lots of people are very amped up and ready to give it horns, but the problem is you need power to make an economy work. And I think the ANC has just realized now, after 28 years in power. The ANC finally realized like you actually need energy to run an economy. And I think it's too late for them. This is their biggest blunder, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, and Phumi, jump in here if you agree or disagree. The ANC has now caused its own trouble. And this is nobody else's doing. You know, you can blame whoever else you like. You can blame engineers at Eskom. You can blame bad management there. You can blame the ministers who we've had in various portfolios. But at the center of all of this, there is an ethos of cadre deployment and a lack of care and consideration for things that work, a kind of an almost childish notion that if you just leave things, they'll just carry on running. You know, electricity will just keep on working. And in the meantime, all that money that we're meant to be generating and that we're giving from the fiscus to Eskom, we can just pocket that money because that's the ANC's ethos. Am I being very unfair?
No, you are being very fair. So, I mean, what you have outlined is very much true. The ANC has sort of mismanaged the country, and where we are right now, it is indeed their doing, because this thing was highlighted way, way back, that we are going to have issues in the future with respect to demand and supply around the energy market in South Africa. And the initiatives and the right way of doing things in terms of reform, ensuring that we can sort of be able to meet the demand when it rises in years to come. The preparations for that were not done properly. There was state capture as well. There was massive corruption. There was massive mismanagement of projects focused on building the new power plants or power stations. So all this really is the ANC's doing. And I liked when you use the word "it's too late," because when you look at, there's a new article, I think this morning by Business Day, that basically says that the ANC, the polls, there is a poll that was released that shows the ANC has basically been hard hit by the load shedding in terms of support, that they are getting less than 40% of them, of support in that poll. So, I mean, remember the blackouts, it's something that is really where you feel as an individual. You sense that you are feeling the negativity of load shedding, right? It could be your business, it could be how you work, it could be how you plan your day. It's affecting the transport on the street, and so on and so on.
I don't mean to cut you short there, but Phumi and I spent last week talking to Vali Padiachi about Eskom and about load shedding. What I want to talk about this week is the political consequences. And Phums and I were just talking briefly before we started the Burning Platform this morning, Phumlani, about how bizarre it is. What a kind of mirror clown world we live in, where the DA can summon up thousands of blue shirt wearing protesters in the center of Joburg, a la Kasatu in the 90s. And the ANC Youth League gathers its 10 scrappy people to kind of meet them in the streets with an answer. And I just think that that's something no one could have predicted. And we'll talk about what you think that means in a minute. But I know Pumi's got some questions for you.
Well, it's not questions. You know, one of the things that I keep thinking about is kudos to them for getting all of those people out in the street. But I'm also thinking, why the hell are you involving us in this? It's like, Gareth, the DA is the official opposition. Essentially, they all work in the same office there at Parliament, right? The DA has its hands on the levers of power.
No, they don't.
In terms of the fact that they are in the office as the official opposition, and they are able to table issues, and they're able to hold as the official opposition, right? Is they're able to debate it, they're able to fight it out, they're able to negotiate with the ANC to say, how do we move this forward? And instead of using that power, they choose to politically demonstrate in the streets, right? And I'm asking myself, so why the hell am I voting for you to be in Parliament and be that voice if you're not using that? And you'd rather have us in the streets.
Again,
it's like you and I, Gareth, in this office. We work together here in this office. And the listeners have a problem with the way the app works. The sound is never working. They're always complaining. And I agree with the listeners that we need to do something about it. And instead of me having a conversation with you and Rena and Ryan and all of the various people that I have access to have that conversation, I organize with the listeners that we're going to come and demonstrate. This is what has happened. But also, I do think that they've missed an opportunity. In the Western Cape, the DA they just announced that they're going to be buying power from from independent individuals who have the power to feed back into the grid. That's what you do, right? Is you demonstrate what you are able to do with the power that you have been given. You don't ask me to come and help you in your office.
So I heard two people on the news. Sorry, Phumlani, we'll get to you in a second. But I heard two people on the news last night on SABC with Vuyomvoko. And the one woman was saying, well, actually the DA has been there in politics, kind of, what you're saying now, but she wasn't as nuanced about it. I suddenly thought, again, here's this thing where we hold the ANC to a very low standard, but we hold the DA to an impossibly high standard. We keep doing this. We keep having separate standards for these two parties. Now, if the DA didn't protest and they didn't march, people would say, these guys are useless opposition parties because they don't take advantage of politics and a situation with Eskom, and they should be taking advantage of this so they can gain and garner votes. Then if they do a protest, we say, but they should be sorting this out in Parliament. With the ANC, we just take whatever absolute slop they can offer us and we go, well done, guys. At least you're having a talk shop in Braamfontein with Gwede Mantashe.
Everybody, look, I think there was a misreporting of the fact that the ANC are organizing a march as well around this thing. And it was fascinating for me to watch how everybody's response to it was, you're the fucking problem. You're the problem. Marching against yourself is not going to help.
Okay, so...
And I think
this is the question then.
And this is where the political...
Was the DA right to march on Luthuli House? Because the ANC's biggest problem was, no, you shouldn't be marching on Luthuli House. You should be marching on Eskom. They're trying to create distance between them and Eskom. What's your feeling on that? Phumlani, you start.
Well, it was indeed a sort of a political sort of protest, because their strategy here was to tie the load shedding and the problems of blackouts to the ANC. That was the objective with the march. And then, of course, as Phumi is saying, that I think the DA, from a governance point of view, from a push for energy reform, from the alternatives that they are trying to put together in Cape Town to try and reduce load sheddings, I think they are pushing in that front in terms of policy and trying to sort of push for energy reforms. This week, the whole strategy for the party was to tie the Black House to the ANC. Now, I think for a week, 2 weeks is very long in politics. I think for this week, it may have been a plus and a minus. Some people will say will be sort of have a negative view, like Phumi is sort of putting forward. Some will say it was the right thing to do, because at the end of the day, the ANC has been the one that has let us down. But I mean, for me, I don't think this is negative for the DA. It was fine for this week, and that's it. And I think in 2-3 weeks' time, people will forget about it, because a week or 2 weeks will be long in politics. So for now, it's something that was fine. But then there has to be sort of a long-term proposals of reform from their part. And as Phumi is saying, that they push to resolve the energy issues with the ANC within the parliamentary platforms and other avenues as well. So the long-term strategy has to be there for the DA as it builds up to the 2024 elections. That's just my honest view on this.
So, as you know, I am also kind of by election watching, because that's one of the easiest ways to hold your pulse on how the electorate is responding to everything that's happening, right? And there were 3 by-elections yesterday. We haven't got results. I haven't seen any results coming.
Where are they?
There
are they
2 in Limpopo.
Hermansburg and Wuppertal. And where else did you tell me about this morning?
Stutterheim. One was in the Eastern Cape. which, as you know, the people in the Eastern Cape love the ANC no matter what.
Yes.
2 were in Limpopo. The Eastern Cape, both, and the Limpopo ones, rural-ish kind of voting districts. What is fascinating, and then the results from the one area in Mbape, I think it is, in Limpopo, have come back, and it was for the first time Action SA contesting a ward. In the Limpopo region. The EFF held that ward, and they have maintained their hold on the ward. And the ANC, even though the EFF has declined by, I think, 2% or so, the ANC has declined. They are the second highest. But the Action SA, who've never contested there before, so their first time, 10% showing.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's very impressive for a first showing.
10%.
Sure.
Is what they pulled in there. The DA, unfortunately, we don't have their numbers because they weren't there, because they don't show up in those rural areas. They don't contest those rural areas. The second one was an EFF ANC runoff, also in the Limpopo region. I just checked, and I don't see anything has come up yet around it. But again, very fascinating to see that they are losing ground.
Yeah,
the ANC is losing ground, and it is for the opposition to show up.
I mean, I see. You disagree, Phumlani?
Yeah, well, there's just one thing I want to mention here. I don't want to dispute what Phumi is saying when she says they are losing ground. But my view is that what will happen now, this is coming to 2024, sort of my prediction, is that the ANC got, I think it was plus 56% in the national vote in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And my view is that some people project that it will go below 50%. And my view is that actually, yes, the ANC will continue to decline, because it's been declining for over the past 20 years, but it won't get below 50%. In other words, it's still going to hold on. Though of course its support will decline, just slightly decline. Because yes, the by-elections, what is Phumi is observing, yes, they may look like, and locally the ANC has been really getting a hard hit, but when it comes to a national level, there is a really high chance that people will say, well, at a national level, we'll continue to vote for the ANC, and then locally, maybe I can vote for someone else. So there will be many of those instances where people split their vote, right? And therefore, at a national level, you still get the ANC, governing the country post-2024. And then in locals and all that, provincial, then you might see some big shift there taking place. That is just what I think is going to happen in 2024.
So what do you both have to say about, Pravin Gordhan, I saw trying to defend himself on the news last night, and he's never done that before. He's always kind of just...
Was it the real Pravin Gordhan? Did he actually show up?
No, it was on
the hologram.
No, it was virtual.
So we don't know. Could be AI. We have not seen Pravin Gordhan. Listen, we have not seen Pravin Gordhan
AI
show up and take responsibility
No.
for the numerous fuck-ups that he has been at the helm of. We have not seen that, not in a long time. And I think, we're going to look back at this period in history, and poor Cyril, he is going to go down in the annals of history as the worst president we have ever had in our new dispensation. He is going to be the president that lost
I'm not in disagreement.
The ANC power.
Yeah.
He is also going to be the president under whose watch South Africa's decline has been
most precipitous,
monumental.
Yeah.
And Pravin Gordhan, guys, is going to be forgotten. No, look at what's happening now. He's not going to be in that line. People are going to forget. He's going to be forgotten.
I disagree. Do you remember how people would praise him? When he was running? Remember, he was the SARS commissioner, and people saying, "Oh, SARS runs so well. They're so effective." That Pravin Gordhan, remember? And then he took over, and you had all those people in the media, all the Cyril fans now, same ones, whose copybook is destroyed from cover to cover with all their predictions they've got. You could not meet a group of people who've got it more wrong than the editors of major newspapers in this country, right? Am I wrong?
Listen, Pravin.
Am I wrong? They were all big Pravin fans. They were all shouting and screaming to the hilltops. Oh no, as soon as Pravin takes over as public enterprises minister, he's going to sort out SAA, he'll sort out Transnet, he'll sort out ESCOM. And what's he done? He has fucked it up. Every step he's taken has been a disaster. So you tell me, apart from the stupidity of those people who predicted that Pravin was the best guy ever, because they're stupid, have I mentioned how stupid they are? I might not have mentioned that yet. But also look at Pravin's copybook. Look at how bad he looks. Right?
Guys.
Well, I mean, no. Yeah. So the thing is, I think Phumi spoke about that he has not taken, responsibility. But I mean, look, don't they learn this from our president? I'm very much sort of unhappy with the fact that the president has never given our president doesn't do a Q&A press conference. No. He doesn't do that to take questions, to stand there and take questions and answer them from our journalists around, any issue. Right now we face blackouts. The president isn't coming through to do the Q&A. In press conferences. For me, that is cowardice. That shows someone who is really not serious in terms of communicating with his people.
Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he just doesn't care.
Maybe that's what.
No, I doubt, Gareth, that he doesn't care. I just think
you doubt it.
He is a very weak person in nature, very much a coward who cannot really stand up and be strong. And I've heard with there's one person who worked with him way back, even during the times of his time in trade unions in the 80s. He says, this guy, I've known him since then. I've worked with him. He is not a strong person to make, in terms of decisiveness, and be strong and stand in front of the public. Ramaphosa can't do that. He cannot do it. And that's a problem for his administration. It's a big one for me. And I think I sense that people get frustrated over this, and everyone should be that the president isn't speaking to us.
Do you guys care at all that Didi Mabuza has resigned as deputy president?
Has he resigned? Has he resigned?
This is what I'm hearing.
I saw a thing saying that his resignation is imminent.
Okay,
and that Paul Mashatile will be sworn in as an MP, paving the way for him being appointed.
President.
There's a clip somewhere here of me telling you about President Mashatile before we get to 2024. Yo, Ryan, you gotta find that clip. We're gonna play it because,
no, you did say it. I'll vouch for you. You said it. And Phumi, you were the first one to raise flags about Cyril, but let's just talk about Didi Mabuza for a second. Let us look at his tremendously long list of achievements as a deputy president. Imagine anyone in your family or anyone in your circle of friends being raised to the powerful position of being the second most important person in South Africa, right? After the president, this is the second most powerful, influential person who could get things moving. Previously we had Thabo Mbeki.
Previously we had
Cyril. No, but previously we had let's go all the way back. Thabo Mbeki. We had Jacob Zuma. Deputy president was they were ushering you into the position of president. Essentially, it was like a dress rehearsal. And in most countries in the world, you have people who are really going to get things done from a head of government point of view almost. What has Didi Mabuza done, apart from fly to his house he's built, an enormous house he's built for himself in Nelspruit on taxpayer money, very often in private planes, but sometimes also on normal passenger planes. But aside from build his enormous house in Nelspruit, what has David Mabuza done for South Africa during his term?
So here's my conspiracy theory on that.
I'm all ears.
We spoke about magic earlier in the show. Now, David Mabuza has had a very elaborate magic act with lots of misdirection. So we have all been watching a particular thing. We've everybody was watching that DD. People were unsure about this guy, and who is he? And he's a little bit scary, you know. Every time you hear him jokingly talking about taking people out, and and everyone's like, this guy's a thug. Who's this? And he has been the bogeyman that everybody was holding up as to why Cyril must succeed. Because if Cyril is recalled by the ANC, then Didi Mabuza becomes the president. And everybody, he was that bogeyman, right? And I put it to you, my friends, that while we were engaged in this kind of watching Didi for any kind of nefarious action, and while we were treated to all his poisoning and Russian escapades, Didi Mabuza has very quietly been siphoning lots of like government money and tenders, and possibly putting his own players in a lot of positions that gives him a very quiet access to all sorts of nefarious things. That's what
and provided a useful counterpoint to Cyril, right?
And so he's ready now. He's ready now to walk away, because all his pipelines are in place.
Yeah.
His pipelines are in place, and nobody has been watching him.
What do you think of that, Phumlani?
Well, I'm not surprised that he is to step off, especially after the elective conference last month that clearly dislodged him from power within the ANC. So he is definitely going to, at least I do sense that he's going to leave, and then of course Paul Mashatile comes through, and then Ramaphosa and him can build up to the 2024 election. The Mabuza's record, to me, it's one of those where I wasn't seeing what he was doing. I would hear that he has flown to somewhere in Eastern Europe for some medical whatever issues that he had, but
it was Russia,
point to something, Russia, yeah. So, to point to something tangible that he has done, I haven't seen anything. And again, it comes back to learning from their leader, who really you cannot pinpoint. There's an article I'm writing this week, I'm publishing, where I'm saying you can't really pinpoint the fundamental stuff and the fundamental changes for South Africans since Ramaphosa came into power. And the big question as we build up to 2024, it will be, how has your life changed since the man or Ramaphosa came into power in 2018 when they dislodged Zuma?
Yeah.
So I mean that's the big question South Africans have to ask. And in my view, nothing has really changed.
And again, I'd love those cheerleaders of Cyril Ramaphosa's in the media to own up and admit that statistically South Africans' lives are worse since he became president.
On top of statistics here, we're not talking about just saying things randomly.
No.
So I mean, things they haven't really improved. And as you say, the cheerleaders. The question is, what are they saying now? I saw The Economist magazine in London that endorsed Ramaphosa. Remember, they put him on the cover story of theirs in April 2019, saying that he's South Africa's best bet. Last month they said actually they overestimated Ramaphosa's ability to drive change in the country, and they've called for the coalition of the clean. So they've also abandoned him. Right, and the question is, can people who really were pushing for Ramaphosa own up now and say, actually, we do need an alternative, and the country cannot be fixed by the ANC at this point. It's too late, which is the words you used earlier.
So let me ask you both this question now. Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, was in South Africa this week. He went to visit Naledi Pandor. Two of them had a nice conversation, posed for some very happy, smiley photographs afterwards. Is Russia not the most villainous country on earth now by a fair margin, according to most people you'd ask? And are we really, like a friend of mine jokingly said on Instagram the other day, wow, South Africa really is lining up to be on the bad guys' side of the next world war, because we are very cozy with China. We're very cozy with Russia. it seems like we keep making friends with the people who everybody else sees as the bad guys. And do we really does Naledi Pandor want to be in a photograph with him? Because we know not so long ago, she was trying to position the Department of International Relations and Cooperation on the Ukrainian side of this. Now she's meeting Lavrov. What does this mean, and how does it position us internationally?
And you know that we currently have joint drills with Russia, China, and South Africa.
Yes, that's right. We're doing military exercises together. Yeah. I don't know what we're providing, because I don't know that we have too much equipment and all of our soldiers are fat and old. But okay.
But guys, so the ANC has made it clear to us about what their foreign policy is and who they are lining themselves up with.
And that is?
And it's Russia. They're clear that Russia is a friend, and where they can, they will remain neutral, but Russia remains a friend. And, you know, we learned it from Nelson Mandela. We never abandon our friends.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think, you know, as South Africans, the emotion of everything that is happening and happening to us is so high that we're also not looking clinically at all of the various world issues that are happening, right? It is very clear that America has got a lot of its own problems.
Sure.
And it is also very clear that America does abandon its friends.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they've done that. They've done that to themselves. Right. Nobody's having to read the tea leaves on that.
And so I think that there are many people, you know, India included, who are asking themselves it's a natural kind of veering towards, right? Because of BRICS, because of all of those various factions, that the ANC has made a decision that says, when the chips fall, this is absolutely where we are going. I think it is very simple to look at it in terms of good and evil.
Yeah, but that's how most of the world does. I'm not saying it's right.
That's to look at it in terms of good and evil, and who is good is also a very subjective thing, right? Who is good is also subjective, and the fact that America's power is waning in many ways.
Sure, but then let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of being friends with Russia. What do we get out of the deal? What are we getting out of this?
Listen. With our president right now, I think we're all asking ourselves, what are we getting out of every deal? He is currently holding his begging bowl at anybody that's got a whiff of cash coming this way. He's just taken 8 billion rands from Joe Biden for the just transition. He keeps taking money from anybody holding it out. Yeah. And what we don't know, because as Phumlani was talking about, is he doesn't answer questions, right? So what we also don't know is we don't know what the terms are. Mm-hmm. We don't know what the terms of all of these loans, all of these monies that are coming this way. We don't know what the terms are. We don't know what it is going to be used for. There are these vague terms that are being thrown about, like just transition, moving away from coal.
I mean, it's quite a thing that, like, you get more answers out of AfriForum than you do out of the president.
And where is that money going?
Right. I mean, isn't that ironic? Phumlani, what do you want to say about our foreign policy before we move on from this?
Well, it's you know, I've been asking myself, what exactly is the national sort of long-term strategy in our foreign policy? And I don't see the concrete right sort of a strategy for our nation. There's an analyst who pointed something out on TV this week, and he was asking, what exactly, as you just said, Gareth, what are we getting out of this? You know, because Russia is not really even our sort of big trading partner, right? I think we have China at the top and then the EU. So it is not even a big sort of trading partner, Russia. So why are we so much, you know, into this friendship with them? And to show off and be arrogant at a time when next month it will be a year since Russia sort of went in and invaded Ukraine. So for the fact that we are doing naval exercises at that time of the year, it looks very much insensitive and lacks strategy toward our foreign policy. And my view is that we shouldn't be, this is the point where we don't have to align and be sort of be big friends with anyone. This is where you try and be objective and balance things. You don't have to be hostile to the West. You don't also have to be hostile to the biggest trading partner like China, right? You need to act in a manner that serves your interest.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you don't have to be because it's about national interest. As Phumi was saying earlier,
there's
pointing
no
to good and bad guy, it's not a.
Yeah, you're right.
Because even the US has very bad guys who they cozy up to them. So I think, but it's about a strategic sort of positioning that you do things at the right time. You don't want to come out and say you are neutral, yet you are able to basically tolerate something like having these naval exercises and things that they look quite insensitive to much of them. Of the Ukrainian people and Western world.
I don't, while we're talking about who our friends are and who our friends are not, and the various foreign dignitaries that have come to our shores, I think maybe there are many people who've missed the fact that Janet Yellen is here.
Oh, Janet Yellen.
Well, I didn't miss that. I was about to mention it.
Oh, okay, you go first before.
No, you want to say, it's fine.
No, because it is not an
Janet Yellen, by the way,
thing.
the Treasury Secretary of the United States.
It is not an insignificant thing to know that the Treasurer of the United States is here, basically like their finance minister, is here to see the president.
Yeah.
And I watched a really fascinating press conference on SABC News yesterday after she had been to a game farm. And she spoke at length about illicit trade of animals, the use of American currency, money laundering, and how this illicit trade often enables their favorite enemy, right? Hate groups, Islamists, and the like. And how they are and this is, because she is really the person who is in charge with protecting the US dollar and what it is used for. And we know this about America, speaking of bad guys, that when it comes to that, my word, they are the bad guys, because they will hunt you to the ends of the earth if you use their dollar for nefarious reasons. And when I was watching that and listening to her speak, I couldn't help but think about the $64 million that were found in a couch at a game farm belonging to our president. And when I connect the dots.
You said 64 million rand, but $4 million.
Yeah, $4 million. Sorry, $4 million. Right. And I couldn't help but connect the dots that say, maybe Janet was here to warn our president about whatever it is that he's busy doing.
Or maybe she's also just checking on that $8 billion that Joe Biden forgot he'd given us to start clean energy initiative. Yeah,
Yes,
Cyril is not clean, guys.
So let me just, before we finish on foreign affairs, just quickly, like you mentioned, Phumlani, and I think it's so right. There isn't a strategy. Like South Africa used to be positioning itself as one of the leaders in Africa. We're no longer that. I don't think we can claim any kind of
no strategy. Even in Africa, there's no strategy for
we don't have a moral high ground. There's no plan to increase trade. The last major moves were made under Thabo Mbeki when he and Obasanjo started the AU. That was the last time we had any kind of leadership in Africa. I don't think that the rest of Africa looks to us for anything anymore. That's the first part.
Yeah.
Second of all, we keep on biting the hands that feed us. Like if Joe Biden and the EU are doing things here in Africa, or for us specifically in South Africa, and there are major trading partner in a number of ways, and they obviously are people who need things like coal and the rest of it, but we just don't seem to ever turn a friendly face towards them. We bite the hand when it does give us anything, and we immediately turn to China, who have shown themselves to be just pillagers of African resources. They will take ports, they will take mines, they will take anything as collateral. They've done it in Angola, they've done it in Mozambique, They've done
And
in
railways.
that whatever they need to take, they just take. There's absolutely no friendliness about that at all. And there's also no white guilt, which we should be better at using to our advantage, because the Chinese don't have any of that. Europe and America do.
They don't have what Chinese guilt or something.
No, they don't give a
Not yet.
shit. There's no, they never will. So I think that we've missed the boat. What are our strategic imperatives? I'd love to sit down with Naledi Pandor, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, because I actually think she's a thoughtful person, and she seems to me to take her job seriously. Okay, she may not have the best ideas, but she takes her job seriously. I'd love to sit down with her and say, what would you like to achieve for South Africa? She doesn't know.
On the global stage, yeah.
What would you like where would South Africa like to position itself? You know, even under Nelson Mandela, we were like the peacemaking nation. We were sending delegations to show people how to have peaceful transitions into democracy. And we had capital to spend. Now it seems like Phumi's right. The only thing we do is go around with a begging bowl.
Yeah, just a quick one on Janet Yellen. Her tour of Africa, because she was in Senegal, she was in Zambia, and now she's here in South Africa. It's part of the major U.S. strategy of making a stronger inroads into Africa. You will remember that 6 months ago, Anthony Blinken was here in Africa. He came to South Africa and presented the Joe Biden's Africa strategy. He presented that, and now there's Janet Yellen who's here this week. There is also apparently a plan by the White House to bring President Joe Biden here in Africa, for him to tour Africa sometime later this year. We also saw the
hold on, Phumlani.
Yes?
Hold on, Phumlani. Didn't Joe Biden fight apartheid single-handedly? He seems to have made speeches to that effect, that he was in the marches and that he was here. Didn't he turn the key that opened the jail cell that let Mandela out? I think that's what he claims. He's been here before.
Well, we need to factually check that. Was last time I checked, it may not be true. So I mean, it's an interesting time that we are seeing this. And Russia, of course, as you say, Lavrov was here this week, which is what we have been speaking about. So there is this what the scramble for Africa that is kind of back now in sort of full force. As I said, we had the U.S. Africa Summit last month in Washington D.C. Ramaphosa couldn't attend because of the ANC politics and the conference. So it's an interesting time to see the West sort of pushing through, or the United States pushing through in Africa. We shall see how this thing sort of plays out over the long term. But we must be strategic in Africa at this point, that we sort of handle things right to a way that benefits just all of us, especially the citizens.
The ANC is not going to be the one to do that. And I think the sooner we all recognize that, and understand that every time we have these conversations about what they are doing and where they are doing and where they're doing it and why they are doing it, and not understanding the fuller picture of what everybody else is doing. You know, we keep talking about coalitions. We keep talking about facing a possible coalition government. Now is the time, I think, as individuals, all of us need to make ourselves very much aware and au fait with all of what other people are doing, what the DA's plans are, what the EFF's international plans are, because all of those things are going to come into play. The ANC is a spent force.
The EFF's the sum total of the EFF's foreign policy is to be friendly with Venezuela, and we don't know what other countries are up to.
And Iran and Russia as well. North Korea.
The ANC, we can safely say, looking at past behavior and looking at where we are with the leadership that they have and how they have behaved in this past term, that we're going to have more of the same. We're going to have a muddling along where we don't know what their policies are, but what they are doing is literally signing away signing every piece of loan that is put in front of them, and we have no idea what those
They
terms
are.
And more
They're
importantly, we don't
strategically
know.
bankrupt as well.
We don't know what Cyril Ramaphosa does with all that money. I think we have forgotten that they received millions of COVID funds.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened to those COVID funds?
Mm-hmm.
Who besides the small fry with their PPE tenders that we have seen and kind of heard
His
about?
spokesperson was into that.
But who has spent all this money?
Yeah.
And you know, and what has been done with the money? This is what we have. This is, and this is why it is important that we rally around the organizations that we believe can displace them and whittle down the kind of power, because right now, unchecked, the power that they have is unchecked, because they are the largest voice, they are the largest number of voters and all of that, in parliament, I mean. But that's why we have to rally to whittle down that power, because otherwise we're just muddling along towards an edge that we don't even know.
Well, guys, I'm very, very sad because Jacinda Ardern is no longer Prime Minister of New Zealand. I don't know what I'm going to do because I was a big fan, as you know. She was one of the strongest supporters of lockdowns. And also, she was a real feminist icon, and she was a hero to the people who thought lockdowns were a good idea. One of the longest and most tough lockdowns in the world. And then when they eventually opened up their borders, look at what happened. No one could have predicted that. COVID went through the roof. And then when she was held to account and they actually said to her, holding her feet to the fire, Jacinda, you made terrible decisions. She got all emotional on TV and she stepped down. Shame. So she's resigned. So no more Jacinda Ardern. But now we've got someone whose name could only be New Zealand perfect. His name is Chris Hopkins. I kid you not, that's his name. Chris Hopkins, who looks like, as someone said, if John Smith and Sean Pollock's parents had to have a child. And Chris Hopkins is the new Prime Minister of New Zealand. And he's just taken over, so we'll have to give him a chance. And he's the 41st Prime Minister of New Zealand. But he seems already to be following in Jacinda's footsteps, because he said they're going to, if any other pandemic comes, they'll do exactly what Jacinda had done. So no lessons learned there at all. New Zealand also spitting out real leaders of quality, just like South Africa.
Although I do love the fact that Jacinda took the decision to step down.
Do you love it? How? She was kind of forced out.
Even forced out. She walked away. Even if she was pushed and didn't jump.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to let you spin this into a victory.
No, it's not a victory.
It's not a victory for her.
That's fine. But one of the things that we know here on this continent, right, is people have to be dragged away from those positions.
Sure.
People like the Cameroon, you were speaking about the Africa-US summit. I mean, Cameroon, fuck's sakes, they have a president who doesn't even live in the country. He lives largely in Switzerland.
Yes.
He's been in position for 40 freaking years.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks or months ago, there's a video on social media and widely reported, because I saw it from a BBC Africa report, right? The president of South Sudan, this is a new country, peeing on himself. He's that old, cannot hold the facility. Fuck sakes. So, for me, a person that can take the decision to say, listen, I'm not doing what it's not working for me, not working for you.
Right.
I'm okay. All right, that's it, guys. I'm walking away. Fuck, that's a win.
Yeah, the president of Cameroon, Paul Biya, has been there since 1982. 1982.
40 freaking years.
I had to
he doesn't even live there.
He's 89 years old. And Pumi's right. He lives in Switzerland. It is disgraceful. I mean, and the people of Cameroon are what? They're okay with that?
So, listen.
You get the government you deserve.
For the fact that she, had the presence of mind to go, okay, it's not working for me, it's not working for you. Okay, I'm out of here. Great.
Yeah, actually, we could wish for that.
Great.
I hear you. All right. Phumlani, we've got a couple of minutes left. Anything you want to throw into the ring before we let you go and finish up and dismantle this studio once and for all?
No, I mean, for me, what I'm watching is really the what Ramaphosa has said, because he has told Eskom not to effect the 18.6% tariff increase, which is quite interesting. I saw an editorial this morning on Business Day, a very smart editorial, basically saying, Mr. President, somebody has to pay. You know, there's no way you can avoid paying. Somebody has to pay. So the fact that the president can come out and say, Eskom must not, effect these tariffs, it does make somebody has to pay, and the question is who's going to pay. So we should not be manipulated like that, in my view. And then we have Panyaza Lesufi, the Gauteng premier, who has gone around in Soweto telling people that he wants to write off the 5 billion rands debt of Soweto. That's populism at its best. And I'm not sure those are the kind of leaders who can move South Africa forward, who really play with people's emotions and really bring things that will destroy the country over the medium and long term. So I guess someone was tweeting that we should see more of this kind of gifts from the ANC government ahead of the election in 2024, writing off debts, T-shirts, food parcels. You can go on as you build up to the 2024 election. So for me, I think those things will be the strategy to manipulate us as the electorate. We need to watch out for that over the next months. It will be interesting to see how South Africa evolves from the political perspective.
You know what, that politicking of Panyaza Lesufi a couple of days ago reminded me of Red Fox, African American stand-up comedian and actor, and he had a shtick about how if there's going to be that, please God, if you're going to send us a natural disaster, make it in election year, because then politicians show up. And this is exactly what
we'll fix the things speedily before the election.
This is what we're seeing, right? We're seeing all of the politicking. We're seeing all of the big things that they think are going to move the dial. But I think that they certainly are in a position where it is not even too little too late. They have pissed away a moral high ground. They have pissed away an opportunity to build a country that is a united country, that is a prosperous country, that is an educated country. They have pissed that away. And I think that the people are pissed off. The people are pissed off because they are hungry and in the dark. And there is no prospect looking at them. And I know people like to say that because they give the 350 grants, because people are on grants, they're going to keep people understand that their grant is not going to make them rich. I think it's not going to make them rich. It's not going to fix their lives. It just holds them over. Barely. Again, there's a video making rounds on social media of a food parcels being given out. I don't know where it is. I actually think it's like Pretoria or something, just hearing from the voices and what the people are saying. And there's an old lady who, as they're trying to give the food parcel, her words exactly, as Ramaphosa, I think I'm not going to say it. It's too vulgar, right? No, I'm not going to say it. It's too vulgar. But she basically says, fuck you, Ramaphosa, and your food parcels. You and your ANC, your useless ANC. I don't want to hear a thing about you. And that for me is what the mood on the ground is, right? Is even the food parcels are not enough. Even the grandstanding and the grand gestures are no longer enough. I think it's for the opposition to fumble this one.
Let's hope they don't. Let's see what we can do. There are a lot of people doing things, but they're not the politicians. Very often it's not the politicians. And listen, let's do something new here on this show
By the way,
in the next few weeks.
And
Forum
as
is
always,
starting its own power company. When you say there are people who are doing things, AfriForum is already starting its a power supplying company. So and they've done other things as well, before. So
plenty.
I guess that's
Universities.
Yes.
Well, okay, that's all we got time for today.
Are we watching to see if the EFF is going to actually build the school that they promised to build
I'm not
in 2019?
I won't wait. It'll make me grey and old and nothing will happen. But that's all we got time for today. And we will be back on the Burning Platform next week, Thursday, and tomorrow morning live on this show, 6 o'clock. Have an awesome day, everybody. Cheers.